Hey guys, thanks for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and all our social media platforms at Fino Boxing. You can follow my personal social media at Adriana_sports. Enjoy. Hey guys, Adriana Jimenez Jr. here with Tom Loeffler. Tom, very good to see you. Looking forward to seeing some more boxing now that everything's coming back together. Obviously, main event, we have Sergey Bohicic with Brandon Adams. You know, what are we expecting on this fight?
Well, first of all, it's good to see you again. We haven't seen you for a long time with the whole pandemic and everything. It really feels, especially in LA, everything's opening up. The restaurants are open, the gyms, everything. So this is nice to have both Bohicic and Brandon Adams and Fernando Jr., Fernando Sr. here. This is a tremendous fight between Bohicic and Brandon Adams. Two top 10 rated guys fighting each other. With Adams winning the contender, fighting Charlo for his 160-pound title, being very competitive in that. He lost a decision, but very competitive. Now he's dropping down to 154. Looks like he's even stronger at 154. And then fighting Bohicic, who's got a perfect record of 18-0 and 18 knockouts. I think this is a great fight for the fans. Great fight for Ring City on NBC Sports Network. And it's going to be a treat for everyone watching on March 4th from Puerto Rico with their great history.
Absolutely. You know, with 18-0, 18 knockouts, he's really impressed us. He's moving up the ranks. How close do you see him, for that world title opportunity?
These are the type of fights that Sergey needs to fight if he wants to fight for a world title. I know Brandon wants to fight for another world title at 154. So I really think because they're two top 10 rated guys, whoever the winner is of this fight will be in line for a world title fight in the near future at super welterweight.
Look forward to that, and of course, on the same card, Fernando Vargas Jr. Taking on his opponent for his second fight. He just recently became a pro. What are we expecting on this young man?
This is his second fight. He's made his pro debut in Mexico, and now he's making a second fight in Puerto Rico. So he's really hitting the boxing hotspots, and I know Fernando is really excited to have his kids kind of following in his footsteps, and excited to see Fernando Jr. On this show. I think they have a huge social media following, and so I think he's going to get a lot of attention on this show.
I was talking to him, and Fernando Sr. is very excited about the Vargas legacy continuing. And, it could be a little tough for some juniors to follow on their father's footsteps. But, so far, everything's looking very bright for Junior.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all three of his sons have a bright future. Fernando Jr., then there's Amado Vargas, who's the middle son, and then Emiliano, who's still an amateur. So all three are very talented, and they're very young in their career, but there's only one, time will tell. And I think they have the talent and the pedigree to carry on that Vargas tradition.
Tom, I also wanted to ask you about some of the rumors that we've been hearing about a possible fight with Golovkin and Jaime Munguia. Is there any truth to this fight possibly happening?
Well, if you remember, Adriana, it was supposed to happen back in 2018, when Canelo got suspended, and unfortunately, the Nevada Commission didn't approve it back then. We thought certainly Munguia is a very credible opponent. He turned out to be the top-rated junior middleweight as a champion, and now he's fighting a middleweight. So I think there's a lot of story behind that fight. I personally think it's a tremendous fight. So if there's a way to make that, I think I think it could be very interesting for the fans. There's also, talk about a Murata fight in Japan. That could be a great fight. Japan's hosting the Olympics now this year, and a lot of people still ask about the third fight with Canelo. So Triple G has a lot of great fights available to him, and the way he looked in his last fight looked like he really is turning back the clock because physically, his physique, his conditioning, everything looked tremendous, like he's going to continue fighting for a number of years.
Do we have an idea of what month perhaps Golovkin can come back to fighting?
I think they're targeting around the June timeframe right now. Canelo is supposed to fight in May, if he wins this fight, which he should, the fight that's coming up now. Then in May against Billy Joe Saunders, and then they're talking about Triple G maybe in the June timeframe, but nothing's been decided on that yet, whether the timing or the opponent. But I would say that that's a good time frame for him to come back.
You know, you mentioned, of course, the trilogy. That's something that a lot of fans still keep asking, you know, the Canelo Golovkin trilogy.
Yeah.
How realistic are the possibilities of that trilogy happening at some point?
Well, whenever you have two superstars like that, you know, it was very hard to put the first fight together. In fact, if you remember when the WBC ordered Canelo to fight Triple G, he vacated the title. And then when we put the first fight together, the way that came together, it was because HBO pay-per-view, they said, you know, this is really the way to break 1 million pay-per-view buys. And that's what happened. You know, we did a huge gate, did the third highest gate in Vegas history, did the pay-per-view buys, and that's what kind of led to the second fight. And I think the third fight now, the fans aren't, they're you know, it seemed pretty clear that Triple G won the first fight. The second fight was much more competitive, probably a draw, or, you know, they gave the decision to Canelo. That, you know, he fought a lot better in the second fight, but the fans really want to see a decided victory one way or the other. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if that third fight happens, although, you know, that's really a question for Canelo at this point. He moved to 168. Triple G, I know, would fight him at 168 if the opportunity presented itself. And, you know, DAZN looks like they have the next two fights for Canelo, and we'll see what happens after that. But Gennadi's not waiting for the third fight with Canelo. He's got a lot of tremendous fights on his own that he's going to put together. And like I said, the way he looked in his last fight, looked like he can fight for a number of years to come.
Absolutely. So I know Golovkin has been at 160 all his career, but he is willing to go up to 168 because I know that's what Canelo is trying to stay at.
Yeah, he always said if there was an interesting fight at 168, that he would do it. You know, we were talking back then, you know, maybe fighting Carl Froch at Wembley Stadium. That would have been a huge fight. You know, there was you know, and actually Canelo at 168 would be a huge fight as well. So for him to move out of that middleweight division, you know, there had to be a bigger fight there at 168. And I think if that fight has to happen at 168, he wouldn't have a problem fighting at 168 pounds.
Well, we'll see what happens. We look forward to seeing Golovkin, of course, back inside the ring. But, of course, we have Sergio Bohicic and Fernando Vargas Jr. fighting in Puerto Rico. Look forward to that. Tom, thank you so much.
Great. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
Si tuviste un accidente de auto, no le des muchas vueltas. Los defensores luchamos para que el proceso legal no te resulte complejo.
Tu consulta es gratis, no tienes nada que perder y mucho que ganar.
Llámanos hoy.
Y problema resuelto.
Si tuviste un accidente de auto, no le des muchas vueltas. Los defensores luchamos para que el proceso legal no te resulte complejo.
Tu consulta es gratis, no tienes nada que perder y mucho que ganar.
Llámanos hoy.
Y problema resuelto.